Hello and welcome to the Bluff Creek Project Podcast. I am Tate Hieronymus. I am one of your hosts. And today I am joined again by my co-host, Robert Leiterman. Today we have Lucy and Gwendolyn. They are in the band Dog Party. Now, Dog Party, if you haven't heard of them, definitely check them out. But if you know and familiar with the Bluff Creek Project and seen our videos or listened to our podcast, then you know them. Because at the beginning of each of our Bluff Creek Project videos and at the end of our podcast, the song at the end you hear is IPA, and that's written by Dog Party. And our very own friend of the Bluff Creek Project Podcast and co-host of Finding Bigfoot, James Boa Fay, does the Bigfoot call on that song. So it is really good to have them here. And Robert, would you like to start off with the first question?
How's it going? Yeah, I don't know if you probably never met me before, so but I have heard of you guys, and it's kind of a quick rundown of when I first heard it. We're talking about 2008 or 2009. It's about midnight, and we're in a parking lot in the Redwood Parks up in Northern California, and Bobo says, "Hey, I'm a manager for these two chicks, and they got the song out. I'm going to play it." So he plays the song called IPA in the parking lot. So he cranks up the volume, full blast. There's nobody there for miles, and opens up with that, and then comes the howl, and you guys get started. So I first heard that song probably 2009 or 2008. But in 2010, we were working on the videos of finding the film site, the Bluff Creek Project. I should say Bluff Creek Film Site Project. We're trying to relocate the Patterson film site. Well, we did find it, and took us a couple of years. But our theme song for all the videos, all 72 of them, was your song on the videos. And we started with it and we ended with it. But I asked Bobo at first. He said it was fine. And he said he talked to you guys about it. So you guys remember 2008, 2009, 2010, but we're talking to you guys about having some Bigfooters use your song?
I don't specifically remember it. We were pretty young. I think at that time we were in fifth and seventh grade.
That is a long time ago.
I enjoyed that song, and it pretty much had the message I wanted to give for our project. And we used it, and it was pretty cool. It got Bobo doing the calls, the Ohio yell call, I guess. Yeah, it was nice. I enjoyed it. It was pretty cool, and I want to thank you ladies for that opportunity. All 72 times worth.
Well, thank you for using it.
Yeah, it's such a great song, too.
I guess not to step on you. Did Tate tell you we also use that very same song on the podcast at the end?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I actually emailed you guys to ask to use it, and you're like, yeah, go ahead. I was like, yeah, that's awesome. It's such a cool song, too.
So what is better than having that song played at the end is having the two musicians who put it together play it for us on the podcast. So I'm really looking forward to that. That's going to be great.
Hey,
so are you ladies into watching?
We grew up hearing some of Bobo's stories. Yeah, and we were absolutely fascinated with the stories. I remember when we were in the recording studio recording IPA, I just sat with Bobo in this one room with the couch, and he just told me just dozens and dozens of stories, and I was so captivated. And for years, I would think about the stories whenever we'd go on tour and travel anywhere. Mm-hmm. Always think about the stories. And I think it's interesting that, there's been like Bigfoot related type sightings like all over the world pretty much. And so you can kind of apply the same stories to various locations.
Mm-hmm. It's a lot of anecdotal references all over the United States.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
No matter where you go.
How did you ladies come up with the environmentally protected animal? Is that correct? IPA.
It's entirely private animal.
Oh, entirely private.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
How did you guys come up with that?
We originally wrote the song after seeing the Simpsons movie, because there's this one scene where the grandpa is going crazy about EPA, which they were talking about the Environmental Protection Agency. But I just thought that scene was so funny, how he was yelling about EPA. And he described EPA as a monster. I think he said, like, it had, like, 1,000 eyes. And, like, and then so after we saw the movie, we were just messing around with the guitar. And my sister started playing the chords. And then I just started chanting EPA because I thought it was funny. And then I kind of went along with the whole thing that EPA was a monster. And then since we grew up ski racing in Tahoe, we were oftentimes in like a mountainous like region, setting. Yeah. So we, had plans for this monster, EPA, to live in the woods, and we hadn't met Bobo at this point, and we were connected through a family friend. And once he heard the song, he was just like, well, this is about Bigfoot, obviously. And it was him actually that came up with the acronym. Private animal. Yeah. He did? I think
Sounds
so.
like a Bobo thing to say.
Mm-hmm.
Whose idea was it?
So,
had we?
So are you saying that Bobo come up with the title? Is that what you just said? Did I misinterpret that?
Lucy couldn't remember, and I was telling her how it went down earlier, and then she misinterpreted what I said. So I came up with entirely private animal, and then because we're in the recording studio, and we could still add changes to the song. Like, we were still messing around with the verses, and because of everything that Bobo was telling us about, it really inspired some of the verses of the song.
Pretty sweet. So, don't mind me asking, because I've known Bobo since probably 1999. When did you guys first meet Bobo? And how did he become your manager? I've been really curious about that. Or is he really your manager? Or he just tells everybody that?
So we met Bobo when we were 10 and 12 years old, and he was friends with one of our family friends named Zach Gooden. And I don't really know, I think basically what had happened was Zach gave Bobo one of our demos, and it wasn't even EPA, it was just other songs. And he really liked the demos, and so he wanted to meet us. So one day we had a show, and that's when we met him. And there's pictures of us actually meeting him and shaking his hand, and we were all laughing that Bobo was our biggest fan because he's so tall.
Oh yeah.
And then it was after that we had hung out with him a couple times, and then he came into the studio when we were recording EPA, and that's when we really bonded with him, I'd say. And that's where we spent the most amount of time with him and really talked to him and got to hear all of his tales.
So what did you think of these crazy stories that Bobo was telling you about this bipedal primate hairy thing in the woods? I mean, did you believe those stories, or you think he was just spinning the yarn, or what do you think about all those stories?
I most definitely believed him, because he's just so, I don't know. I think since I met him as a kid, anyone who's an adult and who's that tall and large, he seemed powerful, and so I just thought that he had an authority, and that he was obviously telling me the truth.
Yeah, I think he was sharing his personal experiences or experiences that he
he wasn't just saying just random like tall tales. Like they were actually experiences that he had. And we were sitting there with his dog, Monkey. And, you know, Monkey has always been really involved. And so he was telling us how, like, monkeys had really close encounters with the Bigfoots. And that was really, like, cool to me because I loved dogs a lot.
Monkey is a special lady.
Sweet.
Yeah.
He's got a lot of stories. And, yeah, he's been out there a lot. Some of the stories I shake my head going, and you're still alive.
I know.
Yeah,
some crazy stuff, but yeah.
So speaking of music, what's your guys' music writing process like?
I'd say early on it was definitely more jam style.
Yeah, that's how we wrote Ipa. Very, like, you know, we were just in a room together with a guitar, and then, you know, my sister would just be playing stuff, and then I would start singing, and we would just sing together. And then that's how we really started writing at first.
Mm-hmm. And then as I don't know, even in middle school for me and just being in class, and I just write out poems first and then put it to a song later.
Yeah.
And that's how I do it today.
Yeah, so that's basically the process in which we write nowadays. We always, I think of lyrical things or write poems and write that all down. And then for me, I either sit with the guitar and just start like messing around with chords. But since I'm not like, because I'm not the guitar player of the band, I'm the drummer. So I'm not like the most skilled guitar player like my sister. So oftentimes I will think of melodies that I really like, and then I'll send them to Gwenny, and then she'll like put them to chords, or sometimes I can figure it out. But
yeah, I'm not the best guitar player. I'm a bassist and a drummer. So, but music's hard to write. So you like doing the melodies and lyrics first, and then like the guitar and stuff afterwards, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
You find it easier that way instead of doing the music first, then lyrics?
Yeah, because you already have a direction that you want to go if you have the melody and the lyrics first. And then all you do is just put it to music, and it's like done. Like there you already have it like structured, and it's all.
Yeah, like especially because we're a two-piece, if the melody's already figured out, then the chords are going to be, it's already like predetermined what chords are going to work with it. I just have to figure out what those chords are, and then based on kind of the attitude of the song might dictate the rhythm and how fast it is, and if it has any changes and stops.
I mean, I feel like it's nice to write with riffs first sometimes, but it can just be such a mystery because you can use the same riff with like tons of different melodies. And so then I always wonder, like, is this the right melody? Like, is this the right decision for this riff? Like, I don't even know. So if you have the melody first and then write the other stuff, then it's already just, like, done for you.
And I know personally for me, I'd rather write the lyrics first and then, like, everything afterwards, because that's the hardest thing. You have a song, then you're trying to, like, match words that don't really match the song that you wrote.
Yeah, for sure.
And it could be a good song. It's like, well, that's a bummer, but... So you just kind of have this empty space, left to fill, and that's what I hate about it.
Yeah.
How would you describe your music? Like, what do you have a specific genre, or is it kind of just this and that?
Yeah, it's quite interesting. People always try to like slap a genre on us, but it's always just kind of difficult because we've always been pretty broad with how we sound.
I would say it's rock and roll.
Yeah, I always like to say it's rock and roll. And to be a little bit more specific, because a lot of people, when they think of rock and roll, they think of like AC/DC or like Kiss or something, which we don't sound like at all. But what I would say is rock and roll with a sprinkle of pop and a dash of punk. I think that's really nice.
That's a really good way to put it. Honestly, that's better than what I was gonna say, which is punk. How does it feel like being an all-girl band? Like, because like a lot of things now, it's a male-dominant world. It seems like, and I think females should be in more sports and music, and it makes me happy when I see that. So, how do you guys feel about that? I guess.
When we first started out, we were so young that we didn't really understand that there were like prejudices set in place and like social like rules per se of like which gender or whatever could do what. Like that just like didn't really make sense to me because I started playing the drums. I've always wanted to play the drums since I was 6, and that's what I wanted to do. And I didn't discover till later that it was like weird that I was a girl and a drummer and that it was a lot more rare. But I really think that over the past, we've been a band for what, 12 years? 13. Over the past 13 years, I really do think that the scene has shifted a lot and that there really are a lot more females who are in bands and playing. And it's just really great to see because at the end of the day, like, we're all musicians, and that's how I viewed it when I was really little, and that's how I still like to view it now. Like, I want to be regarded the same way as all my peers because we do the same thing.
And we all love music.
We play music, we love music, and it really shouldn't matter that I'm a girl and, someone else's guy or whatever. We're all musicians.
Yeah, definitely. Who are you guys' like biggest inspirations in the like when you started out at first, and who kind of influenced the way you guys play and write music?
I think that the raw sound was definitely influenced by the White Stripes. Our dad was a really big fan of music and always had music playing around when we were growing up. And the White Stripes were one of his favorite bands in the early 2000s when we were really young. So just hearing that very just strong, like backbeat drums that are just powerful, simple yet powerful, and just like lead the charge. And then, a ferocious guitar tone. And Jack, is singing it. He would yell and do all kinds of things, but he would sing real pretty too. And that's how Gwenny and I have always been. Like, we can yell, we can do this, but we can also break it down and actually sing.
Yeah, because I got that huge White Stripes vibe from you guys for sure. I was like, that's awesome.
Yeah, and we're a 2-piece, so then that, like, it was just really easy to look up to them because they were a 2-piece. And then, like, Meg was their drummer. And so me being so young and seeing Meg as a drummer and, like, them being the first band that I really liked, it just didn't seem weird to me that, like, I was a girl and that it was a weird thing that I wanted to play the drums. Like, it seemed very natural and just, like, what was meant to be, so I just did it.
Would you guys ever want to tour with them? Like, would that be a dream come true almost?
That would be really cool. However, I was actually just reading some articles about the White Stripes and just how they're never going to come back, basically.
I hate that so much.
Yeah, it's just Meg. She has such severe anxiety to be around people that it got to the point where they got way too popular, and she just really didn't want to live that lifestyle at all. And she's just more comfortable being, secluded and by herself. So whatever's best for her. It would be awesome if we could play with Jack White one of these days.
That would be amazing. Robert, I'm still on the show here. Do you have any questions? If you want to ask some.
Nope. Yeah, a lot of our guests, we like to ask if they had any Bigfoot encounters, if they wish to share about them. But do you guys get out and do much camping at all?
We really haven't camped much in our lives, just because like during the summertime when we were out of school, we would always tour. And so we would just like tour a bunch, and we wouldn't go on vacation with like our family or camp or really do anything.
Mm-hmm.
But we have camped a couple times. We've camped one time in Idaho, and just
camped twice in Idaho.
Yeah, my sister's camped a little bit more than I have, but we haven't really had any weird like experiences. I think
the weirdest thing was the van and
yeah. So the weirdest thing that ever happened was when we were driving from I do believe it was Boise to Wenatchee.
Yeah.
And you know, that stretch of road has a lot of trees.
It's really beautiful.
Very dense. And all of a sudden, we were just driving along, and all of a sudden, we heard a really big thud against the van, and we just saw all these blood and guts. And we were like, what the heck just happened? So obviously, we stopped, and we got out of the car, and we were kind of like looking at what it was that hit the van, and we honestly couldn't figure it out.
It wasn't the front of the van either. It was the side.
It was the side of the van. And
there was no feathers or
fur, and it was just like blood and like meat.
That's so weird.
We were joking around because we were on tour with Kepi Gooley, and he loves like monsters of all kinds, and he sings many songs about all kinds of various different monster type things. And he has a song called "Running with Bigfoot." Running with Bigfoot, yeah. And we were just joking around that we thought that maybe it was Bigfoot, and that a Bigfoot threw something at the van just because it was such a weird angle.
Yeah.
It hit the side of the van, and it didn't really look like anything.
Yeah, it was really weird.
Yeah, because like, when you hit something with the car, you typically know what it is. Like, oops, I hit like
a bird or something,
or I hit a deer. But this was just blood and meat.
Yeah,
there wasn't like some angry poacher on the side of the road throwing stuff at people's cars or something.
I don't know.
That doesn't make sense.
Wait, was it during the day or was it at night? I don't remember if you told me dark or daylight.
It was probably around 4 p.m.
Yeah.
That's weird.
So afternoon.
Mm-hmm.
No dents in the car?
Nope.
No
dents, just a big boom sound, and pulled over, and there's guts on the side of the car.
Yep. And it was kind of higher up, like on the side. So it couldn't have been like a squirrel or
it was too much to be a squirrel.
Too much blood and meat guts to be a squirrel. I kind of thought that it could have perhaps been like if a deer had just started crossing the road and we just hit its head or something. But I mean, I don't know.
That's so bizarre. Also, since this show is about the Bluff Creek Project and Bigfoot, you know that really famous film of the Bigfoot walking in the forest and it looks at the camera?
Yes.
What do you guys think of that? You think it could possibly be real or a man in a costume?
I've actually seen like a documentary on it, I think, and I think it's real.
Because they like do the breakdown and then all the dimensions and everything, and
I really do. I think it's real because I think it would have looked a lot like more. The thing with that footage is it looks like that is that being walking, like with those proportions and like anatomically moving the way that thing looked. Like if it was someone in a costume, I feel like it would still be moving, but like it would be walking like how a human walks. You know what I mean?
Yeah, no, exactly.
And it's older too, so like the technologies of faking something isn't that.
Yeah, it's
good.
like you can't just slap some CGI on it and be like, woo.
Not back then, no.
So you guys are saying that the best evidence, this is my interpretation of what you're saying, the best evidence is when you watch the movie footage, it looks like a real animal with the movements that you see. Is that would be your interpretation of what you just described?
Yes.
Was that the big factor that makes you want to? Yeah.
Yeah, with the size of its limbs and like how the limbs are located, and it's so different from like a human. Like even though it has its similarities, there still are differences. So I think that if it was like a human in a costume, it would move differently than like how it moves.
Like if it was an animal versus a person in a costume.
It's interesting you say that. Bill Munns has a book out. He's done a lot of research in it. He published in 2014. And he breaks it down. He got ladies to walk around naked, to look for movement. He studied the film, the frames. He looked at how much time was involved with the steps. He looked at the movement of the muscles. So he spent a lot of time looking at that, trying to pick it apart. And he's convinced, and he bases a lot of his research on watching the movie footage itself, breaking it down, getting really clear copies, all from second generation, but being able to look at the detail and pull it together. And he was a costume expert. He spent 45 years designing costumes. And that's the thing he did. And so when Bill Munns says, I believe in this based on this, I tend to believe him. He did a lot of research on it, has a lot of good points. So if you're looking for a good book to read, Bill Munns' book, and I'm trying to think of the title off the top of my head. When Roger met Patty. There you go. That's the part of the title for that. But yeah, I'm there with you on that. Watching it over and over and over again, looking at the detail and the movement, and it just makes you really seriously think about it. 1967, what was the technological advances in 1967? They just finished like the Planet of the Apes around that time period. And then there was 2001: A Space Odyssey. I don't know if you remember the movie before you were born, but it has playing drums. You like drums? Is bum, 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 bum. They made it 2001 and had these apes staring at this monolith throwing pieces of bone around. So it's pretty cool. What is their most favorite Bigfoot reality show to watch on television? There you go. Favorite Bigfoot reality show.
Well, Bobo is in Finding Bigfoot.
Yes,
so
Finding Bigfoot. That's great. Congratulations, you win. Yeah, that's a good show. I enjoyed it. Isn't it fun to sit there and watch people you know? Isn't that kind of cool to sit there and watch people you know on the show? And I know Bobo has his mannerisms, and you're watching going, that's Bobo. He does that all the time. That's the fun part about watching.
It definitely is. So, okay, guys, I got to ask you, can you write a song about PBR someday, Past Blue Ribbon? It's like my favorite beer. There's not enough songs about it.
Yeah, we can definitely do that. Or even just like throw a line in there.
Heck yes, that would be amazing. You guys need to do it. I don't know. Anytime I go camping or go to a show, that's like my go-to drink is PBR.
That's a good one.
Yeah.
What was the craziest thing that happened to you guys at a show or on tour?
Well, one time we were in Arizona in Flagstaff, and we were playing this festival that was out in the middle of the woods. And in order to get to the festival, you had to follow these signs that had little dinosaurs on them. So we ended up making it on all these dirt roads, like in the van. So we made it. We were like very happy about it. And then we started to set up our gear. And they had little like wooden pallets
for the
stage. So we were setting it up and everything, and then the people that were involved with the festival were trying to get the what's it called? Generator. So mind you, this was like,
wasn't it day 2?
Day 2 or possibly day 3, but I think it was day 2. Day 2 of this festival out in the middle of nowhere in Flagstaff, Arizona. And so these people...
And you got a lot of beer, just people having a good time.
Drugs, I do believe, were involved. But, you know, my sister and I were quite young, so we definitely were not.
We don't know the specifics.
We don't know any of the specifics about the situation. But these people, you know, they were a little bit fried from the day before. So it started to get dark, and they were having problems seeing. So one of them thought,
well, they needed to pour some more gas into the generator, but then they needed to see where the gas was poured. So someone took out a lighter.
Yep. To see, you know, it's light, right? So,
and then there's this huge,
the generator was engulfed in flames, and all of our gear was right by the flames.
And we
were just like, wow. We were able to get some of the gear away, and they were able to put the fire out, but like all of the people who were working on the generators, their
like some of them
eyebrows,
their eyelashes.
their eyebrows were singed off, and then they couldn't get the generator to work, obviously,
because parts of it like melted. And so we just did an acoustic.
We did an acoustic show, and then they passed around a tip jar, which is how we got paid. And it was like $23 or something. And then we left. And we were just happy to be gone.
Man, that's insane. Good thing you guys didn't lose like all your gear.
I know. We were thankful.
Yeah. So, ladies, are you still taking gigs like that?
I think that one was kind of the only one of its kind.
Yeah, we haven't really taken any like it.
Would you guys ever take?
That's good to hear.
Would you guys ever take any more if it happened like that?
Definitely not in the middle of the woods without like proper electricity.
Oh, well, like, if it's electric, then definitely, like, my amps, they have to have, like,
a certain wattage,
good grounding and everything, because I've gotten electrocuted a couple times from them, and that's not fun.
Yeah.
And a lot of times, just anytime there's, like, an older building, like, I'll get shocked, and it hurts, so.
I mean, we could definitely play acoustic if you know, if we knew a little bit more about the people that were hosting the party and we knew more about what was going on. And
exactly.
Maybe if we talked about compensation a little bit more in depth.
Lucy plays drums, right?
Yes.
What kind of drums do you play?
I play Ludwig's.
Those are the best kind.
Yep, my kit is from 1965, and it is a silver sparkle classic maple, and I love it to death.
What's your cymbals of choice?
I play Peisty cymbals, and I play the 2002 series. They're my favorite, and Meg White played the 2002 series, which is why I first got into them. And they truly are just my all-time favorite.
Those are some good cymbals. Now, Gwen or Gwendolyn, what kind of guitar do you play and what amp do you use?
I play Fender guitars mostly for electric. And right now I mostly play a Fender Duosonic HS. And my amps are Fender Bassman and a Fender Bandmaster.
Those are all good amps. So you're like straight Fender. Almost everything is Fender. But hey, that's like, there's nothing wrong with that. It's always good.
For acoustic stuff, we play Recording King guitars.
Okay, do you guys, so you don't use Martins or anything?
Nope.
No Martins. Gwendolyn, are you ever gonna get like a Rickenbacker someday? That's just like my favorite guitar.
I'm a Fender girl. I like how light they are, and other guitars are heavy.
It's so true though. And Fenders are really light guitars, which I like them, and they're more common and they're easy to play and they're fun to play and they're pretty reliable. So that's always a good thing. And Ludwig's always a reliable kit as well. So you can never go wrong with those two brands of instruments ever. So there's a question I've been dying to ask you guys for a long time because I'm a huge Green Day fan. What was it like opening for Green Day?
It was a really amazing experience in multiple different ways, just because we were able to basically like watch some of our idols on stage every night, but also the band just is so, like, they possess this just power and energy because they have been playing together for so long and they've been best friends forever. And so seeing people who play their instruments so well as a unit is always something that is so cool. They're one of the best live bands I have ever seen. Just the chemistry between them all is...
They're in sync.
Yeah, they're so cool. And, also viewing the band from a business side was quite interesting because they are, top-notch, top-level, one of the most popular rock and roll / punk bands in the world. So they have to be a well-oiled machine. And they all have to, like, there's so many moving parts and it all has to work every single night for the show to happen. And so seeing all of the different jobs that each employee had, and that they were supposed to do like that one job and do it right and do it perfect every night. They were the master of that job. So getting tips from each one of the employees about like how to do things was very insightful because it allows us to, take the number one, like best advice from the number one guys basically, and then apply it to us.
So they taught you a lot, I'm sure. Did the guys in Green Day teach you guys anything for your music career in the future?
Yeah, actually, Mike Dirnt taught me how to pour ketchup out of a bottle. He taught me that if you hold the 57 on the bottle, you can just comes right out. No, but I remember one time Billy came up to me and was like, what did he say exactly? He said, you should talk to the audience more. You should try to hype them up more. And I was like, okay, I'll try.
He's a big hype man. He
is.
He does a lot of talking, but that's cool. I like that.
Yeah, and then Trey is just a very bizarre individual. Very funny, always playing little pranks. But, I mean, like, bands typically, historically, when they go on tour, they always play pranks. It's just, like, something people do in, like, punk rock and rock and roll.
In bigger tours. Like, we've never had that.
Well, I mean, when we would tour, like, growing up, we toured a lot with Kepi Ghoulie and this other band called Pets, and we were all just homies. And instead of having pranks, we would have this thing in July called like Christmas in July, and it would be this celebration where we would do like White Elephant kind of and get each other gifts. Like, I would say that's the closest like thing to the whole like prank playing that these other bands do. But
it's a different way to show love.
Yeah, definitely.
Exactly.
Show love. And so definitely the whole time on tour, they were pranking us with with masks. They would like come on stage.
It was during the time where, remember when like the big clown?
It was in 2016. There was this clown thing.
There were like people would be driving their cars and there would be clowns in the middle of nowhere and they'd be really scary. And that was like a fad and it was on the news. And so we were playing this one song and I'm just up there singing and all of a sudden I see everybody take out their phones.
Yeah, everyone's just like, ooh.
And I'm like, what? Like, I'm thinking to myself, like, there's nothing that, like, special about, like, this song isn't, like, super crazy or anything, like, what's going on? And so one of them was in a clown costume just right behind me, and I was like,
Trey would always dress up as Pikachu, and
that's hilarious.
He would run around on stage sometimes when we played, and I don't play the drums with shoes on, take them off. And I had my backstage pass in my shoe, and Trey grabbed my shoes and threw them. Luckily, he did not throw them into the audience, but he still threw them. He threw them, like, kind of backstage area, but I couldn't find my backstage pass anywhere. And on a tour of that caliber, like, we were
getting the lowdown from security.
They were going to charge me $100 because it was like a breach in security and I didn't have my act together and I lost my pass. And I was like, no, but like Trey lost it. And they were like,
I found it.
They were like, no, you lost it. And so they were really mad at me. But then also all the guys that did security were like big jokers too. So they would pretend that they were mad at us and then like they wouldn't be, but they weren't for real mad at me this time. And I was looking all around for it and then Gwenny finally found it and it had gone underneath the stage. We were playing at the Aragon Ballroom in Chicago and they have to set up the stage every night. It's not like permanently there. And so when they were taking the stage down, we were able to go underneath, and that's when I found my pass, or Gwenny found my pass. So
I bet you were like relieved though after finding that.
Yeah, and so that definitely taught me to keep your like valuable possessions close to you, and things like backstage passes and like wallets. They're really like important, and then not only to you as an individual, but like for everyone's safety. Like, you know, I could have put people in danger by losing it. I mean, I did basically, and something bad could have happened. So it definitely opened my eyes. And
yeah, good thing he didn't like throw that into the audience and some crazy person got it.
Yeah, most definitely.
That would be bad news. So one of my good friends, their band toured with the Killers a lot, and they said the Killers on tour, they would like take a ping pong table with them and play ping pong all the time. Is there anything like? Did you guys do anything like that when you would go on tour? Have any like thing you would do like basketball or hacky sack or something?
Definitely in Europe, foosball. I actually found one of my like journals from when we toured Europe, and I just talked about foosball like half of it. I was talking about foosball. But let me think. Not really. I mean, I feel like just now with phones, I feel like bands don't really have to rely on stuff like that.
Like entertaining themselves?
Because there's a lot of sitting and waiting involved in rock and roll. But now with the phones, it's just like, whatever. And then
sometimes I'll like bring books.
Yeah, sometimes. Last summer, that's when the whole craze was going on about those motorized scooters that you can get in the street.
Oh yeah.
So like a lot of the bands we were touring with, they would all like go out and find the scooters and then scoot around.
What would you guys do like when you get to a city? Where would be the first place you go to when you have downtime?
Yeah, so the very first thing we do is we go to the venue, we load all of our stuff in, and we make sure that everything is like perfect and like good, and then that's when we can leave. So that's when it's up to me to find the food. So I go on Yelp and I find the best food in the area, because being on tour, you, like, sometimes people get into eating a lot of the same foods over again, and like fast food's normally involved, Subway can be involved.
Because like there's Subways pretty much in every town, and there's Starbucks and McDonald's and
so
Taco Bell.
It gets monotonous after a while, and so it's important to have someone on your crew that really cares about, you know, the nutrients and getting the proper fuel, because when you're out there for many months at a time and you're just eating terribly, like, it's not good for you. So we always
feel
try
sluggish.
We try to have well-balanced meals, and that is very important. Very important.
It's hard when you can't like make really food.
Yeah, some bands are really cool and they go to the grocery store. They like literally only go to the grocery store, and somehow they manage. And I don't understand.
It's definitely goals.
It is goals.
Much respect.
Yeah,
to those.
much respect to those people. Definitely, like, if you're playing larger venues, a lot of the times their green rooms are equipped with things.
Like there's catering.
And
there's
there's catering. But
microwaves.
There's, you know, microwaves, stuff like, I don't know.
A sink.
But you know what? I bet you that bands are bringing along, like, camping gear, like camping stoves, and like all this cool stuff, and so then they're just able to go to
those little
stores.
Plug-in water heaters.
Yeah,
I know that's what I would do. I wouldn't want to leave, honestly. I just want to stay. I'm kind of like one of those people that just want to be in the area, not go far. But I could see after a while that would get pretty boring, like you're saying.
It's also fun exploring. I'm into food a lot, and I like eating foods that are popular in like the specific regions. So we always like try to make a point about like eating like poutine when we're in Canada,
or like a Philly cheesesteak.
Or Philly, and like deep dish when we're in Chicago. But I also love ramen, and so I'm always looking up ramen restaurants. And last summer, I think I went to, it was like 12 different ramen restaurants across the United States, and I like reviewed them on my Instagram.
So are you a big Yelp person then?
I mean, I use it just to look up restaurants in the area. I hardly make reviews. Last summer, I only made one review, and it was for my favorite ramen place that we went to, which was in Minnesota. It was in Minnesota. Very surprising. It was in a suburb called Roseville.
Have you guys ever been to Iowa?
We have driven. Wait, we've played Iowa. Yep. Yes.
Ooh, where?
We've played in Iowa City.
A place called Gabe's.
We've played twice. We've played once in this. It was like a recreational building, and I remember it was like raining and thundering and storming, and the venue was like downstairs. It was like a multi-purpose type room.
Yeah.
And then we also played at this vegan restaurant thingy venue. And I remember the food that they had was really fancy and like really expensive. But we got it like half off, which was nice. And then we played on a stage.
On a stage somewhere in Iowa City.
I don't think we played elsewhere in Iowa, just Iowa City. Iowa.
If you guys ever get the chance to play Des Moines, there's a festival every year at E35. That's a cool place to play.
Maybe we played Des Moines.
When did you guys play in Des Moines, or Iowa at least?
In 2014, we played at Public Space 1 in Iowa City.
Okay, I've heard of that place.
I feel like we played Des Moines too.
There's a place called Woolies in Des Moines.
I usually have to just like Google myself and then a city or state. So I just Googled Dog Party Kepiguli, Iowa. And that's where I found the Public Space 1.
Yeah, that was like that multi-purpose room thing.
Robert, you got any questions?
Well, I'm just going to comment. I know about eating. I realized that was 5 minutes ago, but we have three guys that hang out with us. And it's Barcatino, Kip Morrow, and Roddy Kelly, who like to cook. We know how important it is to have some good food around camp, keep the morale up, for those late night discussions and the squatching activities. But yeah, we are so lucky in our group to have people who like to cook and cook very well.
That's
And
awesome.
I say cooks, but I get it corrected. They call themselves chefs.
Yeah.
So I can relate to having good food on a trip.
So today, Dog Party has agreed to play a couple songs for us. They're going to play IPA, which that song is on all of our Bluff Creek Project videos and all of our podcast videos and podcast episodes, actually. And they're going to play another song, too. So that's really cool. We're going to have 2 songs by them. So without further ado, Dog Party, take it away.
Yep. Let's try to play it. Okay.
Alrighty.
All right. Let's hear it.
Yeah, that was good.
All right.
Thanks.
Sounded great.
Thank you.
Yeah. Great. Hey, the only thing missing was the howl.
I know.
I'll have that right now.
We need Bobo.
Oh.
Yeah, Robert.
I was wondering if there's time for one more song from these ladies.
Yeah, I was going to say, what song you guys playing? What album?
We are going to be playing a song called Operator, which is off of our latest record called Hit and Run, which we released in 2018.
Awesome.
Hello, I can't see you, but I really want to get to know you. The sound of your voice, it gives me no choice. Hello, operator, are you the manipulator? They say you're a hard I really wanna know what's going on. Hello, operator. Are you the manipulator? They say you're a heartbreaker. Am I gonna see you later? Hello, operator. Are you the manipulator? They say you're a heartbreaker. Am I gonna see you later? Hello, operator. Are you the manipulator? They say you're a heartbreaker. Am I gonna see you later? Hello, operator. Are you the manipulator? They say you're a heartbreaker. Am I gonna see you later? Am I gonna see you later? Am I gonna see you later?
Awesome. Both great songs that you guys played tonight. It was amazing.
Thank you.
Where could somebody find your music?
We are on most digital spaces nowadays. We're on Spotify, Apple Music, Bandcamp. Not really on SoundCloud though. Lots of stuff on YouTube.
So, like, are you guys gonna play any more shows coming up, or is it all just on Zoom and stuff?
For physical shows, just because like live music being postponed, I think our next tour is going to be in May, so about 9 months from now.
Well, you guys like getting anxious and stuff.
We were really hoping, or we were really excited about touring for the summer, so we'll just have to hold in there a little bit longer.
Well, man, it sucks. Like all the shows are just kind of holding off because of COVID, but soon live music will be back, and I will be
Yes.
very happy. I bet you guys will be happy to be touring again and playing shows and just having fun doing what you're doing.
Most definitely.
So,
and then I just remembered too, for finding our music online, our physical stuff is available at dogpartylive.com. So like records and CDs.
So be sure to check that out, everybody. I'll have a link in the description when this is posted. So all that will be available, so you can go check Dog Party out. Lucy and Gwendolyn, thank you for joining us tonight.
Well, thanks so much for having us.
Robert, do you have any closing comments?
No, I don't. Go camping more.
I agree. Yeah.
Just to bring it up again, I love Deepa. When I heard it in the middle of the night at a deserted parking lot with Bobo on the car speakers full blast, I knew that was a song we needed to share to help us with our program of finding the film site. So I want to thank you for that. And thank you for coming on today.
Thank you.
Well, we hope you guys have a good night. And then everybody, until next week, we're the Bluff Creek Project Podcast.